Housing boom brought on by urbanization and population growth propelled China's robust economic growth for many years, making it one of the fastest and longest lasting for a major country in history. But more than 2 years ago, a government-led crackdown on developer indebtedness through the vital real estate industry, which has historically contributed up to 30% of the GDP, into a crisis. Here, we talk about the two main issues facing China: the population drop and the mortgage crisis. The major socio-economic problems leading to a financial crisis in the CCP. Due to the severe downturn in the Chinese real estate market, several banks are going so far as to permit customers to repay their debts until they turn 95 years old. Several official media reports claim that several banks in the cities of Nanning, Hangzhou, Ningbo, and Beijing have raised the maximum age limit for mortgages to be between 80 and 95 years old. This implies that the borrowers over 70 years old can now obtain loans with terms ranging from 10 to 25 years. The Chinese real estate market is currently experiencing a historic decline. Up until December, new house prices had decreased for 16 straight months. Only 60% top 100 developers in the nation's sales last year surpassed their 2021 totals. The new age restrictions, which are not yet official national policy, are intended to revitalize the nation's dying real estate market while accounting for China's rapidly aging population. According to a recent research note by Zhang Yujin, a property analyst at the real estate services company eHouse China Holdings. He continued, "In essence, it's a policy tool to stimulate housing demand, as it can alleviate the burden of debt payments and encourage home buying." The new terms for mortgages are similar to relay loans. He stated that the borrower's children must repay mortgage in the event that the elderly borrower is unable to do so. For the first time in a decade, the real estate investment dropped last year. With no sign of being rescued, the property slump is likely to worsen and pose a danger to China's growth prospects over the next 3 to 5 years. Alicia Garcia Herrero, head economist for Asia Pacific at Natixis, stated that a slow but painful adjustment is the only way out for China in this property crisis. The adjustment will take years to complete. It has just begun. She continued, saying that the nation must balance the considerably lower demand for housing, which is declining due to an older population, with the supply of housing. That's a big request. State media cited a former deputy head of the National Statistics Bureau last month, stating that China's 1.4 billion people would not be able to occupy all empty residences that are sprinkled throughout the nation. To combat oversupply, the government has already implemented a de-stocking strategy across the country. This strategy includes encouraging developers to drop housing costs in order to increase demand and decrease the rate at which land is sold in cities. Garcia Herrero claims that China's economic growth will unavoidably suffer if this excess capacity in the real estate sector is absorbed. Until at least 2026, expect China to be shaving off roughly 1.5 percentage points of growth annually, she continued. China's gross domestic product prediction for 2024 was lowered by the World Bank from 4.8% to 4.4%, citing ongoing internal issues like high debt, sluggish real estate, and aging population. A few days prior, the International Monetary Fund stated that it anticipated slower productivity growth and demographic headwinds would cause China's GDP to drop from roughly 5% this year to roughly 3.5% over the medium term. The last time China's economy expanded steadily at the rate was in 1989 and 1990, when foreign sanctions brought on by the crackdown in Tiananmen Square caused growth to decline to 4.2% and 3.9% respectively from 11.3% in 1988. According to IMF, future growth might surpass 3.5% provided Beijing implements additional economic reforms and stimulation. Developers like Evergrande, which ultimately failed to pay its debt holders in December 2021, suffered a greater financial problem as a result of the decision. Evergrande's problem were supposed to be resolved through restructuring and given time to recover, but they have only gotten worse. When the company announced recently that Zhu Jiajin, its founder and chairman, had been arrested by authorities on suspicion of crimes. Investors who had been hoping for the company to settle with its creditors this month were taken aback. Concerns over Evergrande's future have grown as a result of company's more than $300 billion in outstanding debt and hundreds of thousands of unfinished apartments around the nation. Beijing's efforts to reinvigorate the real estate sector and avert more serious economic issues could be hindered by a potential liquidation of the company, which would also undermine consumer trust in the shattered real estate market. As the real estate market stagnates, Beijing is looking for other sources of economic expansion. President Xi Jinping emphasized last month the necessity of fostering a new type of industrialization in which fields such as green technology may replace real estate. However, capital economics experts warn that in the near future, the objective might not be achievable. Although many of these industries have experienced years of rapid growth, their combined size is insufficient to offset the enormous role that real estate plays. And a research note last week by Mark Williams, Xiana Yui, and Zichuan Wang. A little over 13% of GDP was produced in 2022 by industries already classified as strategic emerging industries, such as sophisticated materials and tools and green energy items like electric automobiles. They stated, on their own, emerging new manufacturing sectors are unlikely to reach the scale, generate the growth, or create the jobs that property did. The real estate industry has significantly impacted the Chinese economy. The largest percentage of household wealth, or over 70%, is made up of housing assets, according to central bank's most recent data from 2020. Recently, India overtook China to become the world's #1 in population. Given that China has long held the title of the most populated nation in the world, this is an intriguing tale in and of itself. However, who is #1 is not the actual relevance of this narrative, particularly in terms of geopolitics. Instead, the trends make it quite evident that China is not 10 feet tall when combined with other demographic realities. In actuality, China's population is already dwindling. Even if the PRC government has different plans, its population is expected to decline even more quickly in the coming decades because Chinese people are already choosing to have far fewer children than was anticipated when the previous one-child policy was gradually relaxed and then lifted in the last few decades. Over the next many years and decades, China's demographic shift will be a significant impediment to the country's ability to assert its dominance. By the middle of the century, the working-age population, which peaked in 2011 at over 900 million, will have decreased by about a quarter to about 700 million. Compared to the 200 million Chinese people who are 60 and older today, these workers will have to support roughly 500 million of them by then. Comparatively speaking, the social security issues facing America appears like a piece of cake. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and found it informative, don't forget to hit that like button below. And if you want to stay updated with more great contents like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel by clicking the red button and ring the notification bell so you never miss any future content from us. Your support means the world to us.